Today we are showing up to our yoga mats, a couple of us for the very first time. So as we get started, I want to just give you a little taste of what yoga really is. I think so many people think that yoga is a whole lot of like pretzely bendy gymnastic poses, and I'd like to tell you like that is not the case. Yoga, more than anything, like we were saying earlier, is breath. It is being connected, it is being present, and it is honoring your body and how you're feeling. So past that, everything else is just things that we use to connect our mind to our body. So one of the things that we use is mindful movement, which is the asana practice, the physical practice of yoga. But the other things we use are our breath and visualization and like meditation techniques. Those really help bring your mind into your body. The goal of yoga is to create union, to become more embodied. And breath is the gap, the bridge between our mind and our body. I will always say, you are not doing yoga if you're not breathing. So if at any point you lose your breath throughout practice, if you feel confused at all tonight, which I guarantee if you're new to this, you will feel confused at some points, and like that's okay, right? It's okay to feel confused. It's okay to feel a little frustrated when we're learning a new skill, but I just invite you to breathe, especially when you're feeling that sense of frustration or, being overwhelmed or being confused. Just come back to your breath. None of this is about the actual physical practice. The physical practice will help you feel better physically, but what we're really here to do is just be present with what's happening in our emotional, our spiritual, our mental, and our physical bodies. So with that being said, let's go ahead and start. Class is going to look like tonight. We're going to do a longer meditation at the beginning of class. We're going to focus on our breath, and we're going to focus on something called diaphragmatic breathing. And then we're going to move into a gentle warm-up, which is just a series of easy poses to start getting you into your body. We'll do a small little posture breakdown where I'm just gonna talk to you guys about a couple postures, break it down, allow you to ask questions. And then at the end of class, we will finish with some cool down, easeful stretches before Shavasana, which is our final resting pose. So I'm gonna do my best to speak clearly, to be very methodical in what I say and what I do. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them, right? If something doesn't make sense, please ask a question. So let's go ahead and get started. We're gonna start in a seated position. So you can start in whatever seated position feels good for you. You can sit cross-legged. You might sit with your legs extended out in front of you. You can sit on your legs, so like tucking your legs under and sitting on your heels. Whatever feels good in your body tonight. You want to be comfortable because we are going to sit for a few minutes. And then bring the hands either to the tops of the knees or thighs. If it's more comfortable, you can also rest your hands in your lap. Begin to sit nice and tall. Draw the belly button up and in. Lengthen up through the whole spine. And imagine that you have a rope attached to the very top of your head, and it's gently lifting you up towards the ceiling. So you feel that length happen through the whole torso. Roll the shoulders open through the collarbone and the chest, and then close your eyes if you haven't already. And that just signals that we're beginning to tune out the outer world and we are moving inward. And for these first few moments of practice, notice physical sensations in your body. Feel the weight of your hips and your legs on the floor. Feel the shoulders as they relax and soften away from the ears. Feel the air on your skin. Is it cold? Is it warm? Is there a breeze? Feel the muscles of your face and unclench your jaw. Relax the space between your eyebrows. Soften the face. Notice any areas in your body where you are holding tension. Notice the belly. Oftentimes we don't even realize that we are tensing and holding in our abdominal region. Relax the belly. And then turn your attention to your breath. Focus all of your attention on your inhales and your exhales. And as you do this, notice that the thoughts in your head, well, they begin to quiet. As all of your attention moves to the breath, to this present moment, notice the qualities of your breath. Where do you naturally breathe into? And does your breath feel staggered, shallow, or does it feel full, consistent? Do you breathe into the throat? Do you breathe into your chest? Do you naturally breathe into your belly? Notice where you feel the inhales, where you feel the space and the lift created by the inhales. Notice where your body softens and contracts as you exhale. And notice how those inhales and exhales feel in your body. Inhales are naturally expanding, opening. They create a sense of freedom and spaciousness within the body. And your exhales allow you to feel grounded, centered, calm. They have a contracting energy. Feel that balance, the space and the contraction, the ebb and the flow, in and out, in and out. And now that we've paid attention to our breath for a few moments, take a little checklist, tune in what has happened just as you've turned your attention to the breath. Do you feel any changes physically in your body? Do you feel any changes in your mind? Now that we've noticed our breath, we're going to start to add some breath control. So this is called pranayama practice or breath practice, where we're making an active and conscious choice to focus on our breathing so that we can move our bodies and expand our diaphragms and really use our entire breath, because that's really powerful and a lot of us don't actually breathe. So you can keep the eyes closed if that feels good to you, but you're going to take one hand on your belly, just a couple inches above the navel. So right in kind of that hollow space between your ribs, right above the navel. And then you'll take your other hand to your chest, to your heart. Yes, good. And so we're going to start to train our diaphragm to breathe. Our diaphragm is a muscle that pulls down into the belly when we inhale, because it actually pulls the lungs down and creates more space for there to be air in the lungs. And then when we exhale, it's like a balloon blowing out. So it begins to kind of fill the space of our rib cage once again. So when we inhale, we want to feel our belly expand and our rib cage expand, like you're blowing up that balloon in your belly. And as you exhale, you want to feel that air of the balloon go out. So you want to feel the navel move in towards your spine. So with diaphragmatic breathing, if you don't get this perfect the first time, that's okay. But try to breathe only into the hand on your belly without lifting, feeling a lift in the hand on your chest. Aim all of the inhale into the belly, into the abdomen. Imagine that you're blowing up that balloon as big as you can, creating a big Buddha belly. And then as you exhale, you squeeze all that air out. So all four sides of the rib cage pull in, you feel the belly contract. And just take a few breaths like that. If you do feel the hand on your chest lift, that's okay. This is a practice, not a perfect. So just see if you can start to feel into that sensation. When we do our deep belly breathing, we're actually connecting to our vagus nerve, which is the dominant nerve of our parasympathetic nervous system. So when we deep breathe into the belly, we tell our bodies that we are safe and that we are in that rest and digest mode. We're beginning to move out of the state of anxiety, out of that fight or flight. And we're telling our bodies that it's okay. We're here now. So I want you to take 2 more rounds of that breath, just trying to concentrate the breath in the belly. And then after that second breath, we're going to start to create a 3-part breath. So you're going to begin to breathe 1/3 into the belly, bring that 1/3 up into the rib cage, and then that last 1/3 of your breath all the way up into your heart. And then exhale, let it out. We're going to do that a few times. So inhale 1/3 into the belly, 1/3 into the low ribs, 1/3 into the heart. And then exhale, let it go. And I'm going to let you do that at your own pace for a couple times. I don't want to lead that pace for you guys. Just try to create that roll, that wave of breath from the belly all the way up into your heart. And as you exhale, let all of the air go, just like that wave pouring out of shore. You can almost imagine that you have that rhythm of the ocean, right? So as it pours in, it's like that wave moving and crashing into the shore, into the belly, filling up your belly. And then as it exhales, it rolls all the way out, carrying tension, excess stress with it. And then you are welcome to release your hands now if that feels good. You can take your hands back to your knees or your thighs, rest them in your lap. Continue to connect to the 3-part breath. 1/3 into the belly, 1/3 into the ribs, 1/3 into the heart. Good. So the trick in our yoga practice is to maintain this breath. Obviously, that's going to be hard if you're newer to breath. So this is not a space to judge ourselves if we can't. We're just simply inviting that intention to keep a deeper and a fuller breath. Keep your eyes closed, bring your hands together at heart center, connect your thumbs to your heart space. So your palms are pressing together at your heart. Lift your heart towards your thumbs. Sit nice and tall, deep breath in. Exhale, bow your chin in towards your chest, tilting your nose down towards the ground. And here we are just bowing into ourselves, setting an intention for our practice to stay with our breath and honor our bodies. Take 1 more round of breath here. And then as you inhale, lift your head, Flutter your eyes open, signaling we're ready to move, and release the hands. So we've been seated for a little while, so let's go ahead and extend the legs out in front of you, straight out in front of you. And then just kind of give your legs a little tap out, so you can kind of bounce the legs on the floor a little bit, or maybe you tap them with your hands a little bit. You can pound the legs a little bit, just kind of shake it out, get the blood back in there. Always feels good after we're coming back from meditation. And then we're going to start with a very gentle seated forward fold. So you're going to take your feet to the floor with your knees bent. Good. Feet are firmly planted on the floor. Yep, knees are bent up towards the sky. Grab on to the backs of your thighs into your knee pits. And then pull on the backs of your thighs. Use that to lift your chest forward and up. So really sit nice and tall. Big inhale. And then exhale, forward fold. So you're going to reach your chest forward and out, draping your chest over the thighs, and then relax your head between your knees. So this is going to feel like a nice little stretch through the back. And then allow the head to relax. Take a nice deep breath in, deep breath out. And then inhale nice and slow, come all the way up. Extend your legs straight out in front of you once again. And then flex your feet, press the heels down into the floor. Curl all 10 toes back towards your knees. Take your hands on either side of your hips. So the hands are on the floor and they're just on the outside edges of the hips. Aim your fingers towards your feet and then roll your shoulders down and back. Lift through the chest. Good. Lift the top of your head up towards the sky. Yep, sit nice and tall. Big inhale, big exhale. We're going to take this into a twist. So if you can extend your legs all the way out, you can have the knees bent, but just work them straighter. Take your right hand behind you to the mat. So your hand is on the mat behind you. Yep, and then take your left hand to the outside of your right knee or thigh. So we're going to do a little twist. Lift and lengthen up through the spine, big inhale. And then exhale, twist your upper body towards your right side. So the right shoulder starts to move behind you, the left shoulder works forward. And then allow your head to just follow that rotation. So maybe your gaze starts to turn towards the right shoulder. You also might have your nose just aimed straight off towards the side. Lift and lengthen up through the spine. Big inhale. Big exhale. And then inhale, come back to center. And we're just going to move to the other side. So left hand behind you. Right hand to the outside of your left knee or thigh. Inhale, sit nice and tall, lift through the chest, and then exhale, twist. Work your left shoulder behind you and your right shoulder forward. Keep the feet flexed. Pull your belly button up and in. You can gently press your right hand into the outer thigh to deepen your twist a little bit. Good, and then deep breath in, deep breath out. Inhale, we're gonna make our way back to center. And then however you wanna get there, we're gonna make our way onto all fours, coming onto our hands and our knees. So you can kind of swing your legs to one side, bring your hips to the other. However you want to get there, doesn't matter. We're just going to meet on all fours. So when you come onto your hands and your knees, you want the shoulders to be directly over the wrists, and then you want your knees to be directly under the hips. Yeah, good guys. Tuck your toes under, so you're strengthening through the legs. Press down into the hands, and I want you to lift all 10 fingers off the mat. Spread your fingers really, really wide, so there's space between every finger, and then lay your hands back down on the floor. So as you lay your hands down, there's still gonna be lots of space. Draw your shoulder blades onto your back, and we're gonna move through what's called cat and cows. So cat and cows is spinal extension and flexion. As you inhale, you're gonna start to lift your chest up and lift your gaze. So we're finding a little bit of a back bend here. Lift your sit bones up towards the sky, and you'll feel that deep arc through the low back. Belly begins to drop towards the floor. Yes, and then opposite, we're gonna do spinal flexion. So tuck your tailbone, round through the spine, draw your chin towards your chest. So if you guys can picture an angry cat, right? This is what this pose is named after. So really round, round, round through the spine, press the mat away, draw your chin towards your chest, and then move with your breath. So as you inhale, lift your heart up, lift the head, find that tilt in the pelvis, and then exhale, round through the spine. Tuck your tailbone, draw your chin towards your chest. And just move with your breath. So there's no rush. Explore the sensations, explore how you're feeling. You can throw in other movements that feel good. I don't live in your body, right? So you can move in whatever ways feel good in your body. Listen to your intuition a bit. Move in a way that feels yummy. Very good job, guys. And then wherever you are, let's just take one more round. We're gonna meet back in a neutral spine, coming back to our tabletop pose. Shift the weight into your left knee, and then straighten your right leg out so that the right toes are on the floor right back behind you. So all you do is just send your legs straight out behind you. Yep, good. Toes are on the floor, so you have support. Roll the right hip down in line with the left, and then take a nice deep breath in. As you exhale, press into your hands, shift your weight back, and send your heel towards the floor. So this is gonna feel like a stretch through the calf muscle. The toes are tucked under. Breathe into the back of your thigh, into your calf. Big inhale, big exhale. And then inhale, come forward, and place that right knee down. Good. From here, switching to the other side, shift the weight into the right knee, extend your left leg straight back behind you, toes are on the floor. Yes, good. From there, press into your hands, send your weight back, press your heel towards the floor. Breathe into the calf, into the hamstring. Nice deep breath in, deep breath out. And then inhale, shift forward. Bring that left knee down. And then we're gonna come into my favorite pose, which is called child's pose. So bring your big toes together, untuck your toes so the tops of your feet are now on the floor. So untuck the toes, tops of your feet down, all 10 toenails are on the mat, or on the floor. And then take your knees wider than your hips. Walk your knees towards the outside edges of your mat if you have a mat. And then press into your hands and sit your hips all the way back towards your heels. Yes, very good. So your hips might not come all the way back. If they do, great. If they don't, great, that's fine. And then walk your hands forward towards the front of your mat or out in front of you, and begin to rest your chest and your forehead towards the earth. If your forehead doesn't come all the way down, you can make a pillow with your arms or your hands. So you can stack your fists on top of one another and rest your forehead on your fists. You can also place one forearm on top of the other and rest your head on your forearms. So that's just if the forehead doesn't come down to the earth. Really sink the weight back through the hips. Breathe into the low back. And if your hands are out in front of you, reach, reach, reach through the fingers. Good. Lengthen through the whole spine. Draw your belly button up and in. And then see here if you can reconnect to our 3-part breath. When you're in child's pose, you might feel it more in the back body. So when you breathe into the low back, the mid back, and then all the way into the upper back between the shoulder blades, and let it go. Breathe it out. So breathe into the low back, mid back, upper back, and let it go. And let's take one more round of breath like that. Breathing into the low back, mid back, upper back, and let it go. All right, very good job, guys. So from here, make your way back into our tabletop pose, coming to all fours. And then we're going to make our way into a standing forward fold at the front of our mat. So the way I'm going to talk you through how to get there. You're going to tuck your toes under, bring the knees back underneath the hips, press down into the hands. So if you don't have a mat, this might be a little bit harder. You'll be on the floor. I think everybody has a mat. So you're going to press down into your hands and then straighten your legs and lift your hips up towards the ceiling. And then walk your feet forward towards the front of your mat. So if none of that made sense, basically we're just going to be standing at the front of our mat. So however you want to get there, you can stand on up. We can work on all the technicalities as we move through this portion of class. So come all the way up. Very good job, guys. So we're going to move through a couple postures. The postures that I'm going to break down for you guys tonight is going to be Tadasana pose, and it's going to be a downward facing dog and a plank pose. So we're not going to do a full vinyasa sequence tonight. We're just going to focus on some of the fundamentals. So this pose, standing at the front of your mat, is Tadasana pose. It's called mountain pose. Even though we're just standing, it's a very active pose. So try to feel where your feet are in space. And imagine that the feet are directly underneath your sit bones. So those are those big bones that we sit on when we sit down. So you want the heels directly underneath the sit bones. From here, press down into the feet and then spin your palms forward. Thumbs are facing out to the side. Yep, so hands are still by your side, arms are still by your side. It's just all you do is spin the palms forward. Yep, good. And then spread your fingers nice and wide. Roll the shoulders down and back, open through the chest. Press down into your feet so that you grow an inch taller through the top of your head. So try to feel longer through the whole body, through the whole spine. Draw your belly button up and in. Good. And then try to shift your head slightly back so that your ears come in line with the outer tips of your shoulders. That should feel like a lengthening through the back of your neck. This is Tadasana pose. So this means mountain pose. This stands for confidence and strength. So for a moment, just take a moment to feel confidence and strength here. Invite that into your body. Take a deep breath in. Deep breath out. Good. So from here, reach your arms all the way up overhead. So you're reaching the hands towards the ceiling, all the way up. Yep. Palms face each other here. Pinkies are spinning forward and your thumbs spin back behind you. So palms face the midline of your body. Continue to reach through the fingertips. Energize all 10 fingers. Take a nice deep breath in here. And then as you exhale, bend at your hips. Actually, you know what? Let's redo that. Take your hands to your hips. This is a little bit easier, I think, for us to work through. So you're going to take your hands to your hips, that hip crease, and we're going to forward fold from our hips. So a tendency when we forward fold is to bend using our backs. We actually want to use the fold at our hips. So you're going to bend your knees as much as you need to for this. Hands are at the hips and then start to forward fold. So the chest and the head starts to relax down towards the floor. We're still standing, but all you do is basically bend your body in half. So the hands will start to come all the way down to the ground. You can come deeper into that forward fold and allow the head and neck to relax. And then from here, we're going to do what's called a halfway lift. So you're not coming all the way back up to standing. You're also not forward folding all the way. So take your hands either to the tops of your thighs or to your shin bones. Straighten your arms. And imagine that your body, your torso, is now parallel to the floor. So all we're doing is lengthening through the spine here. Take a nice deep breath in. And then exhale, forward fold. You can take your hands back down towards the floor. Yes, very good, guys. So this next one we're gonna practice is called downward facing dog. Or I'm sorry, we're gonna do plank pose first and then downward facing dog. So the next pose that we're gonna do is called a plank pose. So this is a stronger pose. I highly recommend taking a plank pose on your knees and not having the knees lifted if you have more sensitive shoulders. So we're going to make our way down onto the floor. All right, so we're just gonna come down onto the floor, make your way back to that tabletop pose. Very good. And then from your tabletop pose, plank pose is basically like top of a push-up. So if you guys have ever done a push-up before, it's basically just holding at the top of that push-up, right? So we're gonna take our hands shoulder width distance apart. So the wrists are directly underneath your shoulders. And then from your tabletop pose, send one leg back behind you, just like we did in our one-legged tabletop before. Toes are on the floor, and then send your other leg back behind you. So now we're in plank pose, basically. Now, if that's way too much, take your knees down to the floor. Yes, good, guys. So squeeze your booty, squeeze your core. That looks awesome, you guys. You guys look really strong. Strengthen through the shoulders. Take a nice deep breath in, deep breath out. And then from your plank pose, we're gonna enter straight into downward facing dog. So if you're on your knees, lift your knees off the earth. And then press into your hands, lift your hips up towards the ceiling, and press your chest towards your knees, towards your thighs. So the hips go all the way up and back. This is a big stretch through the shoulders and through the hamstrings. And then you're gonna press into the hands and try to send your chest, so the front of your heart, right, towards your thighs. So it's almost as if your booty lifts up and your heart comes down. Yeah, there we go. Beautiful, guys. So that's your downward facing dog. Your feet should be about sitting bone distance apart. So from what I can tell, you guys did great. Go ahead and come down onto your knees. That is a strong pose. That is kind of our posture breakdown. I want to do that, I think I'm only gonna do that one time through, well, maybe 2 times through. I'm gonna see on timing, but we're gonna do that kind of with our breath. So I want you guys to experience a little bit of the breath to movement that yoga finds, because once we get into that breath to movement, it's a very meditative experience. Again, this is probably going to be frustrating because you guys just learned these poses. So don't let the frustration overtake you. Again, if you feel confused, if you feel like you get lost, come down to a child's pose, come to a tabletop pose, take a breath. It doesn't matter. Like I said, the poses are like the last thing that we're really worrying about. I really just want you to stay connected to the breath, okay? Don't worry about if you're doing it right. So let's go ahead and come into our downward facing dog. So hips lift up and back. We're creating that upside down V shape, capital V. Or I guess it doesn't really matter, lowercase or capital. And then from a downward facing dog, walk your feet forward towards your hands. So we're gonna come back into that standing forward fold. And basically just come back to standing. So you're standing all the way upright, standing on your feet. Yep, nice and slow. Good. So we're gonna start in our Tadasana pose. So Tadasana is our standing mountain pose. You're gonna find the energy through the fingertips, press down into the feet, lift through the top of your head. Good, guys. Big inhale here. Big exhale, start to forward fold. So your legs stay straight, but you can, well, not straight, sorry. You can start to bend the knees, but your legs are gonna stay standing, right? Slide your hands down the front of your thighs and try to reach your hands all the way down towards your toes. And only come down as far as what feels good to you. As you come down, relax your head and neck. That's our forward fold. And then take your hands either to the tops of your knees or to your shin bones. Straighten the arms. Pull your shoulder blades onto your back. Lengthen through the whole spine. Good. Big inhale here. Exhale nice and slow. Bend your knees. Take your hands all the way down to the floor and step your feet back into our plank pose, that top of a push-up. So take your time. Remember, you can bring your knees down to the earth once you find your plank. Shoulders stack over wrist. Try to create a straight line of energy from your tailbone all the way through the top of your head. Good job, guys. And then from your plank pose, all you gotta do is lift your hips up and back, downward facing dog. So chest drops towards the floor, hips lift up towards the sky. Again, if you're not feeling that, then take your child's pose. Good job, guys. So that looks beautiful. Let's do that just one more time through, just so that you guys get one more little experience with it. So from your downward facing dog, bend your knees, start to walk your feet forward towards your hands. So you're coming into that standing forward fold at the front of your mat. Yeah, good, guys. Press down into the feet, come all the way up, find your Tadasana pose, standing at the front of your mat. Beautiful. We're gonna do that one more time through. So find your Tadasana, spread your fingers, energize your hands, lift through the top of your head. Yeah, good. And then big inhale here. Exhale, take your hands to your thighs, slide your hands all the way down the fronts of the thighs, all the way down towards the toes. Good. Once you find the depth of your forward fold, inhale, halfway lift. So hands to your shin bones or hands to the tops of your knees or thighs. Lengthen through the spine. Draw your shoulder blades onto your back. Lift your head up in line with the spine. Beautiful. Inhale here. Exhale nice and slow. Take your hands down to the floor. Step your feet back, plank pose, finding your top of the push-ups. Wonderful, guys. Hold your plank. And then from there, downward facing dog. Lift your hips up and back. So lift those hips. Yeah, good job. Take a nice deep breath in where you are. And then everyone, let's take a child's pose. So big toes together. Take your knees a little bit wider. And then bend your knees. Take the fronts of your shins down to the floor. So the front of your, that shin bone is gonna be resting on the floor. And then take your hips and sit your hips all the way back towards your heels. Or close to your heels. Wonderful, guys. So that was a little flow portion of our section, guys. Let's go ahead and come on up. You can lift your chest, and we're gonna come back into that seated position. So just however you wanna make your way onto your booty, we're just gonna go ahead and come down onto our booties. Good. So legs are extended out in front of you. Good. We're gonna do what's, it's called Janu Shirshasana. So it's a one-legged forward fold. Take a hold of the back of your left thigh and then pull your left knee in towards your chest. So the sole of your left foot is gonna be on the ground. Yes, good. And then all we're gonna do is just open your left knee out to the side. So the outer left thigh is gonna drop towards the floor. The inside of your left foot will connect to your right inner thigh. So sole of your left foot to the inside of your right thigh. If your left knee, so you can release your hand from the left knee, if it doesn't feel supported and you have like a blanket or a pillow nearby, feel free to take that blanket or pillow underneath your left knee. Flex your right foot, which is the extended leg. Press your right heel down. Take your hands to either side of your right thigh. Yep, and then inhale, lift your chest, sit nice and tall. Exhale, forward fold. Reach your heart out towards your right toes. So anytime I say forward fold, it basically just means that we're folding at our hips and we're bringing our bellies closer to our thighs and to our legs. So you're folding yourself in half. Obviously, that's a more bendier picture, so if you don't feel like you're folding in half, that's okay. Relax the head and neck, breathe into wherever you feel that stretch, and just try to keep your right foot active. So keep that foot flexed, spread the toes if you can. Deep breath in, deep breath out. And then inhale, come all the way up. And we're gonna switch sides. So extend that left leg all the way out. Hug your right knee in towards your chest. And then let your right knee open out to the side. So the sole of your right foot is now connected to the inner left thigh. The outside of your right thigh is gonna move towards the earth. And again, if you need support, place a pillow, blanket, something underneath that right knee. From there, flex your left foot. Take one hand to either side of your left thigh. So your hands are framing the left thigh. And then inhale, lift and lengthen the chest. And as you exhale, forward fold. Reach your chest forward and out towards your toes and come all the way down. Relax your head and neck. And your forward fold may be deeper than others. It may not be that deep. Again, we're not focusing on if you can touch your toes. I don't care if you can touch your toes. All that matters is that you feel a stretch through the hamstrings. You might feel this in your back. As long as you're feeling sensation, you're doing it right. Just make sure that there's no pain with that sensation. Good, and let's take one more round of breath. Big inhale, big exhale. And then nice and slow, come all the way up. Extend both legs out in front of you. And we're gonna come down onto our backs. So you can scoot yourself a little bit forward towards the front of your mat, and then maybe bend your knees and place your feet on the floor. And you can either roll down with your hands out in front of you, or you can have your hands behind you and use them for support to come all the way down to your back. So it doesn't matter how you get there, we're just gonna come all the way down, laying down. And then as we come down onto our backs, hug your knees in towards your chest. You can grab onto the fronts of the shins or around the backs of your thighs, whatever feels better. And give yourself a nice big squeeze. Maybe do some circles with the knees. So you can draw circles with the knees and kind of massage your sacrum and your low back a little bit. And then maybe reverse direction. Good. Keep your right knee hugging in towards your chest. So wrap your arms or interlace your hands around the back of your right thigh or around the front of your right shin. Doesn't matter where. Continue to hug your right knee in, but extend your left leg all the way out onto the mat. So your left heel is going to come down onto the floor. Left leg is straight. And then continue to hug your right knee in towards your chest. Give yourself a nice big squeeze. Breathe into wherever you feel that stretch. You might feel it in your back. You might feel it in your hip flexor. I'm sorry if my dog barks. Take a nice deep round of breath here. Big inhale, big exhale. And then switch it out. Draw that left knee in towards your chest and extend your right leg all the way out. Squeeze your left knee in. Extend out through the right heel. And then every inhale, fill up your chest and your belly with breath. And as you exhale, squeeze your knee in and squeeze the air out. Good. Good, guys. One more round of breath here. Everybody looks great. And when you're ready, gently pull your knees back in towards your chest. So both knees are now in towards the chest. Give yourself a nice big hug. And then do a few movements that feel good. So again, you can circle the knees, maybe kind of rock back and forth a little bit. Anything that feels good on the spine. Give yourself a little massage. And then when you guys feel ready, we're gonna come into our Shavasana. So hug your knees tightly in towards your chest. Wrap your arms around your shins. And if it feels good, lift your forehead up into your knees. Squeeze yourself into the tiniest little ball you possibly can. Squinch up all the muscles in your face. Squeeze your belly. Engage everything. Big breath in. And exhale, relax, Shavasana. So Shavasana is called corpse pose. So literally let yourself just be heavy, open all the way out. If it doesn't feel safe to lay face up, you're always welcome to lay on your side if that feels better to you. The feet can be on the floor, or you can extend your legs all the way out. Full resting pose. And then just let go of any effort. I honestly don't even have to see you for this one. Just let it go, let it relax. Allow everything to grow a little heavier. Relax the whole body down onto the floor. And I'm gonna take you guys through a little body relaxation. So make sure that you're comfortable. And then bring awareness to your toes and relax all 10 toes. Relax your heels and let your heels grow heavy. Relax your calves. Relax the space around your knees. Relax the backs of your thighs. Relax the front of your thighs. Let your hips grow heavy. Let your belly relax. Let your shoulders melt onto the floor behind you. Let your shoulder blades grow heavier on the earth. Let your chest open and expand. Relax your arms. Relax your hands. Relax all 10 fingers. Relax your throat. Soften the back of your neck. Let the back of your head grow heavy. Relax your scalp. Soften the space between your eyebrows. Relax the lines around your lips. Let your mouth gently part if it's not already, and release your tongue from the roof of your mouth. Let your whole body be soft, and imagine that your skin is falling away from the muscle and your muscle is falling away from the bone. You are melting and pouring onto the floor, letting yourself sink deeper and deeper into a state of peace and relaxation. Give yourself permission to feel relaxed, to be at ease. And then when you guys begin to feel ready, reawaken the body just by taking a deeper breath. So inhale through the nose, open mouth, exhale. And then start to make any movements in your body that feels good. Wiggle the toes, wiggle the fingers, roll the wrists. Maybe let your head fall from side to side. And then when you do feel ready, just make sure that you have the space behind you, but reach your arms up overhead. And imagine that you're taking that first stretch that you take when you get out of bed in the morning. So reach through the fingers, reach through the toes, elongate your whole body. Big inhale, big open mouth exhale. Gather your knees in towards your chest. And then you can roll to whatever side feels most comfortable, to your right or your left side. And then with as little effort as possible, we're gonna meet in a seated position. So just come all the way up. Sit back on your booties, just like we started at the beginning of class. It got super dark at my house, I realized. So go ahead and find your seat, and then we'll close the way that we started. So bring your hands together at heart center, palms are connected, touch your thumbs to your heart, and then close your eyes. And I want you to just take a moment to notice what happened during your practice. So take a moment to reflect. Notice any shifts that happened in the body or the mind. Notice any emotions that came up, whether they are quote unquote positive or negative, right? Just notice anything that came up. Acknowledge it, honor it, give it space. And I thank you guys so much for joining and so much for participating. Remember that if you stick with it and you keep practicing, it only gets easier from here. Practice makes progress. So go ahead and take a nice deep breath in, deep breath out. The light in me honors, respects, and loves the light in each one of you. From my heart to yours, namaste. And all namaste means is the light in me bows to the light in you.